Next thing we're going to look at is a millis command. This is NeoPixel's 105. We're going to cover all the basics we need to make some incredible programs. Okay? So, to get there, though, we need to understand all the basics here. Well, at least most of the basics, but it helps understand them all. Okay, so here we have our last sketch here where we use a delay of 10 milliseconds, right? So what it does is it increments the color, sets the pixel to that color, broadcasts that pixel data, and then waits 10 milliseconds, okay? So kind of a sloppy way to do it, but sometimes it's easy for these dorky little programs, right? Okay, so now we're going to head over to the Arduino website and look at the functions. And the function we're going to look at here is millis. Okay. Returns the number of milliseconds passed since Arduino began running. Okay. It will overflow in 50 days. And that's about all we need to know. It's also a 32-bit value. Okay. Uh, that's very important also. So typically we do a long unsigned or unsigned long. It's the same thing. Okay, I type it wrong, I guess. Whatever. Okay, so let's go to our code here. Okay, so up here, we're going to make a long unsigned variable called timer. Okay, we're going to make a long unsigned variable called blink. Semicolon. All right. Oh, blink screen. We'll call this blink red. We're going to spell it right too. Blink red. All right. Cool. Delete all of our precious work in here. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is timer equals millis. Okay. So I have read the timer since the Arduino booted, and I'm going to store that variable or store that value into the variable called timer. Okay. And then I'm going to type in if parentheses timer is greater than, let's see what I got here, blink red, capital red. First thing I'm going to do is re-increment that blink red timer. So blink red plus equals, I don't know, we'll make it blink or increment every 200. Okay, semicolon. All right, so now we're still missing one thing, okay? We're going to make a Boolean. And let's take a look at what that is. So we go to documentation reference and variables. Here we go. Boolean. All right. Or bool, whatever you want to call it. We'll go to bool, sure. All right. It can be 1 or 0, or true or false, or low or high, right? So it can only hold one of two values, right? A 0 or a 1. Okay. So let's go back to our code. And this Boolean, or bool, there we go. Bool, let's call it red. Oh, red's a blue color. Let's do red. Oh, that's color too. There we go. We can get away with all lowercase. All right. Boolean red. So we're going to blink red. We're going to toggle red. Okay. So red equals not red. Okay. For those of you that don't understand that, basically If it equals 1, it makes it a 0. If it equals 0, it makes it a 1. This inverts the value, okay? So 0 is 1, 1 is 0. So red equals not red. If it were to be 0, after it passes this line, it'd be 1. If it were 1, after it passes this line, it'd be 0. Okay. So let's actually change this thing, right? Strip.set pixel color. And I'm going to make the second one blink, which is pixel 1 here. So 0, 1 is that second one. So 1, comma, we'll do red times, I don't know, 100, comma, 0, comma, 0, parentheses, semicolon. Okay, one last thing we need, strip dot show. All right, so let's take a look at this here. So first of all, we grab the amount of time the Arduino's been running in milliseconds. We store that value into timer. Okay, if timer is greater than blink red, we're going to add 200 to that. Okay, so let's take a closer look at just this part. So when it creates these two things, timer equals 0, blink red equals 0, right? Now by the time it gets down here, maybe it has to run a couple times, whatever. But eventually timer is going to equal 1. This thing will have been running for 1 millisecond, right? 1 is greater than 0, right? Because this thing starts at 0. So once it hits 1, first thing it's going to do is add 200 milliseconds to this thing, right? And then it's going to toggle whatever red on or off, display it, show it, or tell it to be red, or broadcast it. Okay. So now it comes out of this loop, right? And then hits the bottom, comes back up top, stores the millis value into timer. So now this is like 2, right? Now we're at 2 milliseconds or so. But this is 200. So it's going to take a while. It's going to take 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 200. Still not going to work. Once this is 201, that's greater than 200. Now it's going to be 400. Now it's going to take another 200 milliseconds for this to repeat. Okay, so why is this important? Like, why all that setup when I could just use the delay? So this is important because once it does this, now we can do other things out here. We don't have to just wait for this to go. Now it can be blinking. It can be watching for a button press. It can be reading data somewhere else. Like there's so many other things it can do while it's waiting to blink it, right? Okay, so I'm going to hit upload. Let's make sure this thing actually works. All right, perfect. Cool. Okay, so this thing works great, right? My red's blinking on for 200 milliseconds, off for 200 milliseconds. So, what else could we do with this? What I'm going to do now is make a blink green. Okay, capital GREN. Okay, make a bool called green. Okay, so over here, if timer is greater than blink green, start my curly, enter. Okay, so blink green plus equals, I don't know, 107 semicolon. All right. And green equals not green. Right? So I'm just going to copy this part and paste it. Okay. So 0 red. Let's do green. Green times 100. All right. Then show that. So what we should have now is multitasking, right? We should have this blinking red. Oh, we got one problem. This one's also going to blink green. Let's change that. Let's make the next one, the third one, be blinking a little bit off here. So I'm going to hit upload, and let's take a look at this thing. Let's see what it does. All right, so this is clearly blinking at a different rate than this one is, and they're very far off. Cool. So now we have multitasking. So we can have things blinking separately. We can have it waiting for a button read, data input, whatever, right? We're not stuck waiting for that pixel to blink. Now we can have the program do other things. Cool. So this is a NeoPixel 105. If you caught up so far, good job. This is not an easy series, but you can do so many cool things with this. Thanks for watching.